afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, and welcome to another NerdTube Star Trek episode review. I am Major Rage, and I am joined by my Trekkie in arms, Cousin Cheeto. How are you, sir?
Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk about this episode. Um, we will not be joined by Zamario this week. He's got some personal issues going on. Please, Nerd Nation, make sure to send out your love and positive energy to him in this time. Um, but we've got The Show Must Go On, and we're going to talk about Lower Decks Season 4, Episode 3 in the Cradle of Vexilon. Um, pretty solid episode this week. Pretty standard Lower Decks fare. Didn't disappoint. Just very much in the usual vein of things. Um, you know, not a ton to say in the way of opening remarks. Kind of what were your overall impressions of the episode?
Before I do that, I just want to shout out a couple
Dude,
comments.
yeah, hit
Daniel
it.
Vance, of course, reminding us that today is Walter Koenig's birthday. He's 87. President Chekhov and also Commander Chekhov from the original series. We go down here. Jim says, "How was Lower Decks show, Daniel?" And then Daniel Vance is sending his positive hearts to over to Zam. So yeah, we're gonna keep Zam in our thoughts. As you know, he's got personal stuff going on. This episode was good. I liked it. It didn't feel like it was all over the place like the second episode of
Mm-hmm.
the last week.
Yes.
The second episode of last week. So yeah, I mean, this episode was definitely more focused. We only had two episode or two storylines going on, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes, sir.
It was mostly focused on actually was it? Well, there were kind of
It
three. Like there was
you know, the
the
captain
captain.
and Boimler kind of intersect and
Yeah,
handling kind of a related situation.
yeah. So
But
two and a half maybe we can
yeah,
kind of say, because the captain was doing her whole "I can do anything," and yeah, sure, you're not Cisco, babe. Just don't. You can't do anything, obviously, or not
I
anything. You can't do everything, obviously.
no, she you can't you know bully on her for trying to be so hands-on, but there's a reason why you have department heads that are experts at the
And even
various things they
one
do.
of the officers that was with her, was it Ransom that was with her?
It Ransom was with her, but he was both the one advocating for bringing in the
Hmm.
engineers. They
Phillips, yeah,
eventually call in Billups,
yeah,
but kind of
um,
too little, too late. The captain's already kind of made a mess of things, as she is wont to do.
yeah. And I enjoyed the Blemler stuff. I enjoyed the Blemler stuff. I'm losing my train of thought today, man. I'm sorry.
No need
Um,
for apologies.
like the Blemler stuff of like him like learning to be a leader and learning to lead an away team, like that was really good. That's kind of some of the stuff that I wanted out of the second episode. Um,
Kind of seeing them fall into their new roles.
yeah.
I feel like this episode did a good job of doing that, while at the same time having being familiar. They might be lieutenant junior grades now, but there's we're still doing that, seeing them do crap jobs and seeing them pull zany antics. Kind of it's I would call this episode more of the same, but not that if this is your particular flavor, then that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Um, no, it was definitely a step up from last week. As I said, the second episode last week was just very, very, very all over the place, and I know we got a bunch of memes now of Moopsie or whatever. That's a big meme now, but still, it's kind of like, who, buddy? Birthed out of
Moops,
chaos is Moopsie.
yeah, the best part of the episode for sure, but not enough to save it.
Yeah. Gonna just go to a couple more comments here. Daniel Vance says, I watched two of the very short treks and find them very funny. Lower decks humor that doesn't go on for 30 minutes too long. Okay. Lower decks is usually shorter than 30 minutes. So what are you saying? um, Ginger Greek says, "Happy birthday to Bester." That's right, it is Bester as well. Walter Koenig, one of the greatest. I don't want to call him a villain, but I also don't want to call him even an anti-villain or an anti-hero. He's one of those that's like Bester from Babylon 5. He's just one of those that would do whatever it took to protect the interests of Earth. So, and then Daniel Van says, more of the same would have been great name for this episode. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them to actually do that, like more of the same. Jim also says, I seen Lower Deck episode 3 only once. So, yeah, I mean, and it does track. Like, I do like the Blumler arc here where he's doing everything himself because they're not doing everything to his per specifications. I don't what's the new Vulcan lady's name? I can never remember her name.
T'Lyn?
T'Lyn. I
Yeah.
don't know if T'Lyn was the right person to have in this spot. I kind of felt like
Really?
I felt like I felt like this would have been a better moment for either like Tindy or I mean maybe Mariner, but I feel like Mariner would have been, I don't know. Yeah, I just don't think T'Lyn has earned her stripes with the Lower Decks enough to kind of be telling Blumler how to do things. Maybe if they went at it from a whole nobody else sees a problem because this is how Blimler is, and she was the one who noticed the problem, but all of them noticed the problem right away. So I just felt like maybe one of his closer friends would have been a better pick for that, and put T'Lyn with whoever's on the ship. I'm not saying get rid of her. I'm just saying like swap out a character for another character.
See, I completely disagree. I feel
Oh.
like she was the perfect choice. I feel like kind of her status as an outsider still, combined with like that Vulcan logic, kind of make her the best one to look at his handling of this situation objectively. A lot of his friends, might kind of just go with, oh, that's just how Boimler is, and he'll see it himself. Just let him come to it.
And that's kind of my point though, is that the fact that everybody saw that he was acting weird, and like even the ensigns knew that he was acting like weird and like acting not doing what he was supposed to. But if everybody was kind of the same mind, like, oh, that's just Blemler, let him do it, like let him do it, he's gonna do it anyway. Like, if everybody didn't see a problem and T'Lyn was the one to see the problem, that would be one thing. But it's like, if I feel like everybody saw the problem, so T'Lyn's just kind of like stating the obvious, and there's no real connection between T'Lyn and Blumler yet. I don't feel
They, that is an issue, and like the episodes that aired last week, they tried team pairing her up with Tindy, and now they're trying her with Boimler, and I feel like the writers and producers are trying to like stick her with different cast members and see where she gels, see kind of which dynamic ends up being the most fun to write, which one resonates with the audience more.
I
Um,
I want to see her with Rutherford
that's
because
me too,
he's that implant in his head is Vulcan. So I
indeed.
kind of want to see like what shenanigans can happen there. Like all of a sudden, like Rutherford is like good at Kowtow and all these, like they like play Kowtow, and Rutherford's really good at Kowtow because his implant is Vulcan, so it's kind of probably pre-programmed with all of that. Not even pre-programmed, but like accustomed to all of that. So I that's kind of the pairing I was kind of waiting for. But I do agree with you. I did like the pairing of her and Tindy, but it was kind of the whole the Wednesday Adams meme that's going around right now with her and the like hyper like blonde girl or the
Yeah,
happy blonde, like that's
it's
that
so
dynamic.
odd couple. It's so
Yeah,
odd couple.
yeah.
But so they might be too different. It might be too stark of a contrast. T'Lyn and Mariner could be fun too.
Maybe, but I feel like more that'll just be a Spock Kirk dynamic mostly. Like I mean, it might be fun, and then they might surprise me because they are well, the Mariners actress is superb. I love her.
Oh yeah, Tawny
So
Newsome is
I know
great.
she could really just. I think she could bounce off of anybody, like and make it work. But no, I think Rutherford's the one that I'm really waiting for. Is the one I want her to see how she bounces off of. Comment really quick from Daniel Vance is found out that the intros each season are considered canon battles that the Cerritos was at. See, now this is who said that? Like who who said that? Because so the whale probe just randomly showed up to this Borg and Romulan battle. The crystalline entity just showed like this is why I say Lower Decks is loose cannon, because I don't like, and I know that Zam hates it when I say that, but I'm like, that can't be right. Like, unless we're really going to have this massive battle where the crystalline entity and the whale probe show up, and whatever else nonsense they find in future seasons to put in there, I'm okay with it not being canon. You know what I mean? It's an intro. Who cares? Like,
Yeah, it's yeah, exactly. It's just the intro.
but if you're gonna say, "Oh, this is an actual battle," like, really, like, yeah, no, I don't. If that is the case, I think they're leaning a little too hard into what Lower Decks is not.
Agreed. Agreed. That's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Um, so we touched on it a little bit before, but um, Captain Freeman, is it just me, or would you agree that like kind of she's the reason this situation escalated as
Oh,
much as it did?
absolutely. I mean, she really shouldn't have been. I mean, yes, she's like, oh, I took an ancient whatever course in the academy or whatever she said, but it's just like, okay, first off, you're a captain. So how many years ago was that? Second off, it's not your expertise. It sounds like it was more of a hobby. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really ever remember seeing Picard going on like Starfleet, like archaeological expeditions and like actually doing like Starfleet's work. Like, he would like host archaeological digs on his ship, but there would be archaeologists there, like actual
Hmm.
archaeologists. It's not, so it's kind of like, like, I really feel like she kind of overstepped here. And again, this is, one of those, it's great for comedic value. I thought it was funny, but then when you start to talk about it being canon, I'm like, would a Starfleet captain really do this? I don't feel like they would. I feel like that they would have Billups down there. And maybe if she was like, hey, Billups, let me try, like, whatever. But I feel like Billups should have been there as a senior officer engineer to at least oversee.
Yeah, if this was a more competent crew with a little bit tighter command structure, they might get more than just second contact missions.
Yeah, this is true. I know why I know why they are not the exceptional Starfleet mold.
That they do not. There are times where it seems like Mariner's the most talented person on the ship.
Oh, but that also goes back to one of Zam's points. Is Starfleet always has the best of everything on every ship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there can't be that many the bests.
Yeah, and I mean, Mariner just kind of proves the point that, like, I like Mariner, but it's like it does. It does. I'm losing my train of thought. It does change, like it. Continue. I'm losing my train of thought.
Um, no, no worries. No, just kind of to shift gears. Just kind of, things continue to escalate, and Boimler eventually kind of we have that moment where Talin has the come to Jesus meeting with him, and he finally kind of delegates to his team, and they work together really well. Um, only for him to die. What did you think of that gag?
I thought it
And
was. I mean, I thought it was funny. I thought it was. I thought that the koala, like, being
yes,
there
I loved it.
afterward. Yeah,
I
having the
one
koala there was great.
I hope somebody like records that and takes the audio and does it back mass it and see if there's like some sort of hidden message if you play it backwards.
Yeah,
what the koala language is.
Yep. Yeah, because wasn't that what they did in, was it the first season, second season, where the koala was supposed to say something and not say something, but it said something backwards and you could move it and it could, was that it? Or I don't know, maybe it didn't even talk in the first season. I don't know.
I don't remember for certain. Um, Ransom's comment about, oh, it's your first death, so
Oh,
memorable.
I know, but also that again, another wasted opportunity and another character swap. Where was not
Shax.
Shax? Yes, Shax should have been the one to say that.
I think they only had Ransom there this episode so they could do the joke that they did with him in the beginning, where he's criticizing the art and insults the good statues instead of the work that the lady means. I just thought that was funny. They flip it on their head. Somebody like Ransom, big muscle head power lifter, appreciates art and has actual criticisms, insightful ones to make about the statues.
Yeah. Well, plus I feel like I honestly feel like with Jerry O'Connell, he's actually becoming more and more of a star. I would not be surprised if eventually something happened to Mariner, or not Mariner, Freeman, Captain Freeman, like not death or anything. Maybe she gets promoted, maybe she gets moved away, and Commander Ransom takes over as captain. Like I would not be surprised, just because Jerry O'Connell is a big name right now, and the actress who plays Freeman is fine. Like she's not as big of a star
Hmm.
as Jerry O'Connell. And Jerry O'Connell said he loves the show. Like he says it, he loves the show. I think he's the one who asked to host this year's Trek Day thing. So obviously he's a pretty big name if they're getting him to host the Trek Day thing that they had back on Star Trek Day.
Yeah, I noticed that was him hosting. That was pretty cool.
That's what I'm saying.
Um,
Since he's gotten onto the View, well, not recently, but he's
uh,
been.
you mean my mom watches? He's on the Talk. My mom watches
Yeah,
that.
that one. Since he's
Yeah,
gotten on
mom
there, he's
loves him
shot
on
up in
there.
popularity.
Yeah, I've always thought he was a funny guy,
Oh, I did
but
too. He reminds me of. This is gonna be sad to say, but at least at this moment, he reminded me of a discount Jason Bateman. But like, or if like Jason Bateman and like Oscar, or not Oscar Isaac, Jason Isaac had a baby.
okay, I could see that. I could see
Daniel
that.
Vance says actor says they love getting paychecks. They all say that. Get okay. But there's someone you can tell who actually likes Star Trek. Get out of here, man.
Um, anything else you want to talk about with that the A plot, the Boimler and T'Lyn and Captain Freeman on the ring structure, or
Is
maybe
this?
just talk about the ring structure planet itself and
Yeah, I was
that
gonna say
whole
we can talk
concept.
about that. Yeah, I mean,
Though I've always thought those were super cool.
see, I don't. I think that they're lame. I really do.
We're
I
just we're at opposite ends of the spectrum tonight, my man.
I know,
We
and I mean,
usually align.
I'm not saying that they're bad. Like what? I just don't like them. I think they look stupid. I think I don't even know if scientifically it makes sense. Like I'm not. I 100% don't know if scientifically it makes sense to have those. I mean, I know they got. Isn't it in Halo? They have one of those. I don't play the games, but
Hmm.
or you know.
And in Xenosaga there was one.
Oh yeah, Xenosaga. God, I haven't played that game in forever.
Oh man,
Um,
the Durandal, one of my favorite sci-fi ships of all time. The Durandal. It's
yeah, I recognize that
fascinating.
name. I'd have to look it up. It's been years. I own them still.
I'll send you a picture later.
Ooh.
But
Is it gonna be 10 inches long? And oh wait, no.
oh, you can definitely see my big rocket later, Cheeto.
This
Um,
is a kids program. Zam's not here today.
I've got to make up for it. I've got to carry his weight, damn it. And those are awfully big shoes to fill.
Awfully big pants to fill too.
Oh, yo. No, so,
I meant in the penis reference, not in the waist
oh,
reference. Just being clear. Just being clear.
Um, okay, so I guess we'll just no, so we're at opposite ends on that. Anything? Looks like
I don't know. I
that's.
mean, it kind of reminds me of Babylon 5 because wasn't that the interior of Babylon 5 was built that way too? Like it was around the.
I have to turn in one of my nerd cards. I've not
Oh, that's
seen any
right.
Babylon 5.
I forgot you haven't. Oh, you
You've you've
bastard.
you've you've refused my card before.
And I'm about to take that corner off.
Okay, so but back on the ship, this week's B plot was Tindy, Rutherford, and Mariner getting hazed, and a big part of that plot was them kind of questioning if they were being hazed or not. I feel like it kind of hit upon one of those things that, like, I like about the lower decks, and one of those things that, like, I criticize some Star Trek series about, and that's the Starfleet officers as paragons with no character flaws and, that don't take any emotional damage.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of why some people had an issue with the hazing in Strange New Worlds. Remember when they remember in season
Hmm.
1 when Uhura was in what was it? Was it in her dress uniform?
Yeah,
And you know,
yeah,
but
for the cap dinner at the captain's room.
yeah. And I mean, I didn't as far as I remember, I didn't hate that much. Like I think hazing like I
That
feel like
barely
haze
seemed like hazing. This, they gave them a crap job with crap conditions, knowing they were going to burn their hands on the chips.
yeah.
This was, actual hazing. You
Yeah,
know,
that and yeah, and then
not
when they're
the,
like, "Oh,
you know,
hazing wouldn't exist in that." I'm like, "No, I mean,
that's
like
kind of the point of this, this whole bit is that people will still be people even in the future.
yeah." And I mean, I think that it was eloquently shown in Strange New Worlds. So that kind of hazing I was okay with, where I was like, "No, I mean, they just told her to show up in her dress uniform and it was an informal event." You know what I mean?
Yeah, she looked goofy and over eager in front of the captain. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, and that's it. Like
But I
that's
mean, still, this isn't to the point of, a college basketball team, at least.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, yeah. So, I don't know. But this was um oh, Daniel Vance says B5 was a huge interior spinning ring. Yes. So I was right. Ha ha.
always feels good. Um, so as this plot goes on, they decide they're going to get back at Dirk, and they end up setting up this huge Rube Goldberg device, with a couple of references that, we had the whole, reference room at the beginning of their plot, the anomaly room, and we got a nods to various Trek episodes in the past, and they set up the Rube Goldberg device with the Wadi Chula game and the inner light probe that
Yes.
zaps you and has you live the entire simulated life as Cayman. Um, just what did you think of those gags?
We knew that the game one from DS9, I can't remember what it's called. What did you say it was? The
Wadi Chula.
Wadachula, that's right. Uh
I had to look at the subtitles for that.
yeah. The Wada I know it as the Animarang game.
Lemon
Yeah.
meringue, lemon meringue.
Yeah,
That
lemon
was,
meringue, yeah.
oh my god.
Um, I thought that we saw that in the trailer, so I knew it was coming. And when I saw it in the room, I'm like, okay, that's where we're going with this. The probe though was hilarious because I didn't like I just thought it was like, and the thing is like, and the Betazoid treasure box or gift box or whatever it was called. I was like, I miss my wife. I was like, oh no. What?
Uh, the comment from Ginger got me.
Ah,
I know that with my southern accent, Rube Goldberg device has to be coming out as like a garbled mess. Now, never saying that again on stream. Um, so Dirk's story that he kind of played them with about getting stuck in the game for a month, Jumanji style. Uh, what did you think of that bit. I thought it was kind of like a great take to the next level, and like he had me believing it for a minute. I'm like, oh wait, or is he not hazing them?
Oh, yeah. I mean, at that point, I kind of when he was laying it on thick like that, I knew he was hazing them. I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna get to the end of the episode, and then he's either
Yeah,
going
as it
to.
went on, that I kind of was like, oh.
Yeah, Daniel Vance says I started zoning out right about that point in the story. So, yeah, I mean, not as good as the first episode, in my opinion. Not as bad as the second. So, I mean, I kind of know where I'm going to put my ranking on this one, but
I'm hovering between a couple of numbers myself, but I think I'm homing in on it
yeah,
as
normally I
we.
kind of have to whittle it down like as I talk with you guys about it because I'm just like, sometimes I'm usually up in the air and I'm like, I'm a little forgiving on some things, and then you guys will bring up a good point where I'm like, yeah, I guess that is true. That is pretty bad. Or then or you'll make something sound better, and I'm like, okay, maybe that's not as bad as I thought it was. But
I love that we have like an actual discussion and we don't come in here with our hard and firm opinions and we're the only ones who can be right and nobody else's opinion matters.
well, I mean, no one else's
I like
opinion
that.
matters besides ours. Let's make that real.
If yes, it has your opinion matters if you're part of Nerd Nation, nobody else's. Um, so us, you guys, the audience, but nobody else. Nobody else. Um, so no, got lots of funny references and nods to other things in Trek. As usual with the lower decks, saw some weaponry in the anomaly room, including the Vulcan weapon for the Kali Phi.
Mm-hmm.
There was a batchlith I noticed. Oh, what did you think of the Betazoid gift box?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, I'm with Mariner. Those things are annoying. I
Yeah,
hated them in TNG, and I when they had it on here, and I mean, as you can see from the thumbnail of this video, like, yeah, I'm like, oh god, here we go. And then I did love the bit at the end with the probe and the treasure box or gift box or whatever.
I miss my wife. That was great. I think the best part of it was the whole it had been around Dr. Tahn a bit.
Yeah, and yeah, and it picks up
Like
things.
I almost laughed over the line. But I rewound a little bit. That was so Tindy goes, "Is Dr. Tahn been in here?" And I'm like, "Oh God, no wonder it's." um. So any other references or just funny bits that you noticed that I've left out?
Not really. I mean, I mean, we're third episode in out of 10, so we're kind of ending. We're getting close to the end of the first act of this season. And not that I want it to be like an overarching structure, so that's good that we don't have like an overarching structure at this point. Because I feel like Lower Decks lends itself better to episodic format, maybe an
Agreed.
overarching, maybe over one or two episodes. But like if they have an overarching theme like throughout the whole season, I don't think it lends itself very well to Lower Decks. Um,
I don't either. I feel that the route they're going with just the theme of the entire show is growth and development, and us seeing these young ensigns grow and develop and become better young officers as they go along is really good, and that they continued that on that trajectory with this episode, and that's one of the things that this episode did right.
mhm.
um Another thing that kind of this episode did right in my mind was kind of balancing their new roles, um with kind of them being the same old lower deckers we know and love. They're still gonna come up with a plan to get back at the guy that's hazing them, or Boimler's going to be, in the words of Mariner, overthinking and sweaty. So as much as they're changing and growing for the better, certain parts of their characters are true to the core still. and I feel
Mhm.
like it's hitting the nail on the head with what it needs to do there.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah. I mean, with lower decks, as I said, I always did kind of want it to be more of like a Simpsons aspect where they were always ensigns. I mean, and I said last week, I said that the Strange New Worlds episode definitely gave the show Lower Decks more texture, and I mean, it is good to see character growth with them. I still want them to keep that balance where, as I said, it's still kind of that Simpsons vibe where it's like it's still kooky and zany, and some of it just doesn't make sense, but it doesn't make sense for like let's use the intro for an example. The fight between like that fight with the Borg and the Romulans and all those other things doesn't make sense. But you know
No,
what? It's funny. Like when you
it's
see
in the intro. It doesn't need to make sense. It's great. It keeps you
yeah.
from skipping the intro.
And that's kind of why and that's why sorry. And that's why I kind of feel like the show Lower Decks needs to be. Like it can't take itself too seriously. It can't take itself seriously in the canon of Star Trek because if it does, it will lose what it is. And that's like Team Four Star with Dragon Ball Z Abridged. I'm going to use them as an example. They do a good job of meshing their comedy and actually their writing. You know what I mean? And they actually do a good job growing the characters in their own way in there.
Hmm.
But with Lower Decks, I feel like if they do that with some of the stuff that they do, I feel like it would break canon. And not that I'm saying the Star Trek canon's been all over the place for eons. So don't even in the original series, they broke canon, all the time of their own canon within the series. But I don't know. I don't know. A couple comments here. Daniel Vance says feels like each season's ingredients are cartoon humor with Trek Easter eggs, and that's what it is, though. That's what I'm saying. That's what it is. I feel like they crossed the line with the ingredients and needed to rebalance. Maybe. Jim says I fell asleep in this episode. Jim says hail Ginger. We should all hail Ginger. Uh, that there says it all, Jim. I fell asleep during this episode. So I guess we have some not so big fans of this episode.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting a very real feel for what Daniel Vance's opinion of the series as a whole is, and I can definitely see taking it, in with that way, and it not being kind of everybody's cup of tea. I love animated comedy, and I love Trek, and I feel like I this is my favorite of any new Trek. And I know that's kind of silly, but it just is.
No, it's
And
absolutely my favorite of the new Trek. Yeah, Picard has been too much of a hot mess for it to be anybody's favorite. Let's be real. Anyone who says Picard is our favorite has not seen season one. Let's be real. Like, um, Discovery again had too much of a rough start. Like seasons 3 and 4 are good, but Prodigy, I mean, if it's your favorite, fine, but it's Trek, but it's not. I feel like it's not enough Trek to be anyone's favorite. And I'm not. And if it is your favorite, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying like these are my thoughts on it. And the Strange New Worlds, I can see it being people's favorites, but I don't know. I think the writing sometimes is not where it needs to be, especially in the second season. I felt like there were some parts in the second season that really pulled down the writing, like especially of Pike. I feel like Pike they really dropped the ball with Pike in a couple episodes, like writing wise, in that series or in that season. So I don't Lower Decks is like it's really I feel like Lower Decks is definitely the cream of the crop when it comes to new Trek. I'm sorry, that's how I feel. I mean, let's be real. Orville is the best Trek of new Trek. I mean, let's be real.
gods, I hope we get New Horizons season 2.
Would it be season 2 or would it be season 4? Like I
I
think
guess it's Orville's season, New Horizons season 4. They gave it another title, so I
they
wouldn't.
they
I
did,
don't
but I
know.
thought that was just like Young
As,
Justice. Like they have different like subtitles for each season.
ah, oh, that would make sense.
I don't know. I mean, what do I know? I'm just a nerd.
But no, I can see that, thinking that the balance is kind of off. The balance of the kind of Easter eggs and referential humor, with the the zaniness, kind of it's going more serious and with some aspects and more zany with others. So I can kind of see, why you feel the way you do, Daniel Vance. And but you know and sorry if I took it the wrong way about your feelings about the series. And I based on what you're saying about Prodigy, I feel like maybe I need to. Well, I guess I can't give it a chance anymore. They took it off Paramount Plus, right?
Yeah, but it's going somewhere else. I think it's coming on TV, isn't it? Like I think they're putting it on cable, like
Oh,
Nickelodeon.
I'll DVR it, and because I should try to get through the first episode again. It felt a lot like Star Wars.
I mean, the second half of the first season, like episodes like I think 11 through 20, it feels a lot more Trek just because they get closer to the Alpha Quadrant. Not trying to spoil anything, but like so. I mean, the closer it does feel Star Warsy because in the beginning it feels so distant from you know from from the Alpha Quadrant. So it does feel very alien to Star Trek. So
The villains felt like they
oh,
just had
very
a very
Star
Sith
Wars.
vibe to them,
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
Sith and
Yeah, very
Imperial
Sith vibe.
vibe. Um,
You're not
but
wrong there.
no, but I think we're tangenting at this point. You want to just go ahead? Do you have any final thoughts before we give it marks? I mean, I'm seeing Jim's Landscaping's giving us marks already.
Well, here I'll put the poll up then. Here I've got it ready.
Okay.
Um, I- yeah, I mean, I still feel like we're focusing on the command crew a little too much, in my opinion. Maybe if you had like Rutherford and Tindy at the actual, site of the computer or whatever, doing the repairs. I mean, I get it, they're lower deckers. So they're not going to be the main focus of any given main mission, but that's kind of the point of lower decks is the fact that they are not the main characters. So, like the Blemler stuff was good. Like I feel like that was definitely lower decker level stuff. But then it's like we're going through all of this like explanation. I feel like honestly, like if they would have removed most of the Mariner stuff or not Mariner, I'm sorry, Freeman, most of the Freeman stuff from there, and just all of a sudden all this crap started happening, and we have no idea why, but Blemler has to deal with this stuff that's happening.
That would have been a much better episode.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like we're
Yeah,
still like I've said it before in the past. Like, I feel like Lower Decks does lean into the command crew a little bit too much.
yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I like Jerry O'Connell. I like the actress who plays Freeman. I like the actor who plays Talon or not Talon, Ta'an, right? Ta'an,
To Lynn,
Talin. There's too many Ta'an, Talin, La'an. Like it's too many. Um,
onomatopoeia.
yeah, right. Shax, I like those characters, but at the same time, I feel like we lean into them way too much sometimes. As I said, this episode would have been better for me if all this stuff was happening and Blimler had no idea what was going on. Like he just got the random communiques from Freeman, and just still has no idea what's going on. There's a volcano popping up, and we as an audience, as well as Blimler, have no idea what's going on at that computer console.
That would have been a better premise for an episode, because the Boimler A plot, especially like his growth and seeing him have to fight the urge to micromanage. And I've said before, I identify with them a lot. I see a lot of Boimler in myself, and when I was in management, I absolutely did that exact same thing. It's like, let's to make sure it's done right, we'll just do it ourselves. You try to find something for the crew to do, but the important stuff, I'm going to handle it. So, him moving past that and taking to Lynn's advice, I feel like that was the best part of the episode. But the Freeman stuff drug it down as it usually tends to do, and I think you have a point about seeing too much of the bridge crew um, on a
And the
show
cat.
called Lower
And
Decks. Yep.
speaking of Talon or whatever her name is,
Sid says hello. Sid Office says hello.
I don't even know where mine's at. Mine's like forsaken me. He's gone. He's like, you know what? Get out. He's like, he didn't put my bed out or anything. He said, I'm gone. I'm not going to sit in the background of your streams anymore.
Riker's on the couch, probably.
Riker's striking.
Riker striker. Yeah. But no, you know, more, par for the course, Lower Decks. It could have been a stronger episode, but not a terrible one. I usually start with Zam. I will break with tradition and I'll give my mark first this week.
You just don't trust me to give marks first, do you?
Nope, I see now I can't have you thinking that. Go for it, Cheeto.
Oh, I was kidding. I mean,
I know. No, but go.
okay, fine. I'm gonna give this one because I think I gave the second episode a 6 and the first episode like a 9. So I'm gonna go with a 7 because I don't feel like this episode was that much better. I don't feel like this episode was that much better than the second episode, but I still feel like it was better. So yeah, I'm gonna sit on my 7 of 9.
I am also going to give it a 7 out of 10 moopsies.
Uh-oh. Too many don't get those moopsies involved. Suck
You
out your
know,
bones.
good episode, but it could have been better. So just average good Lower Decks episode. I can't really think of much else to say about it. A Dr. Ta'ana-centric episode could have been great, or I'd like to see more of Dr. Miglamo.
I don't want to see more of either of them. I'm sorry, I don't like especially Miglamo. I don't like him. I every time he comes on the screen, I cringe. I'm like, oh god, here we go. He reminds me of like Frasier from and
See, he makes me think more
or
of
no.
Niles.
No, I was just gonna say. Actually, he reminds me more of Niles. Niles from Frasier? No, that's what he. But he's got like the job of Frasier Crane. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
I'm like,
Niles was a therapist as well.
was he? I couldn't
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, they're both both psychologists.
Oh well, obviously Niles sucked more than Frasier because Frasier had his own radio show.
You know what they say, people who can't actually get anything done, they go into talking about things. Speaking of that, you can come and watch us talk about all sorts of different pop culture entertainment here on NerdTube. We talk about more than just Star Trek. We talk about Star Wars episodes like Ashoka on Wednesday night reviews, sports entertainment, Dragon Ball, Final Fantasy, just any and everything. Marvel, DCU, uh, fan films. If there's something for everyone here at NerdTube. So if you've liked tonight's review, consider hitting the like button. If any of that sounds like stuff that you're interested in watching, hit the subscribe button and smash that bell icon. Coming up next, we are going to be having the Friday night The World's Gone Insane. Let's talk about it stream tomorrow night. Ginger will be hosting that. Talk about current events and entertainment and the world at large. It's kind of contributors hop in and out, and we talk about just a variety of things and whatever the chat wants to talk about as well. So definitely look forward to seeing you all there. tomorrow night. That starts at 5:30 usually, Cheeto?
5 o'clock, but
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
So yeah, don't want to miss that. Want to thank everybody that was in chat this evening. Thanks for joining us. Thank you if you watch on the VOD later. Definitely missed Zan this evening. Much love sent to him.
He also
We
says
will
check out Invasion and Foundation. So maybe
nice.
after I get done watching all the Trek.
So yeah, you have been watching NerdTube. Thank you so much for joining us. You've been seeing the best channel that you sort of, kind of heard of. Live long and prosper.
Bye bye.